Shemai Pawb. Hello everybody. Well, it's a horrible day here. It's wet and drippy and it's dark and it's miserable. And it's also the turn of the year. It's the shortest day and it looks like it's going to be the darkest day as well. So I wanted to do this video for two reasons really, because I wanted to wish you all compliments of whatever season it is that you celebrate. So if you celebrate the solstice, happy solstice. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas in Wales, Nadolig Llawen. If you celebrate Yuletide, happy Yuletide. And happy anything else that you might be celebrating that I don't know about. And I also wanted to thank you all really for all your support and your views over the past year, because we're coming to the end of 2024 and I think this is probably going to be my last video before 2025. And I've been doing a garden tour every month this year, so I wanted to get a garden tour in before the end of December. So this is the sort of December garden tour. But because it's such a horrible day, I'm afraid it's going to be a short one. So two reasons. Compliments of the season garden tour. So yes, it's the winter solstice and it's the sort of the turn of the year. I think of it as the sort of the lowest point of the year really. So from now on, we're just going to climb out of the sort of the dark hole of winter and look forward to the warmth and the light and the new growth of spring. It is a little bit of a deception sort of celebrating that now, because we've still got two quite cold, well, potentially very cold months ahead of us. But at least the days will be getting longer and there will be more light. So onwards and upwards is what's going to happen from here. So without further ado, I'll take you on a wet and soggy tour, a very quick wet and soggy tour of my wild Welsh garden. But there's so little colour in the garden. It's just all greens and browns and looking very sorry for itself. Little robin over there, my companion. This pot has got bird's foot trefoil in it, and in the autumn I planted some crocuses and they're beginning to show signs of sprouting. Looks like they're almost ready to flower. There are flowers on the rosemary. And then tucked away behind the polytunnel, there is a winter honeysuckle, which doesn't look anything at all really, does it? It's just a very straggly, unruly, untidy bush. But it does have these little flowers, which don't look very much at all. But apparently they are very highly scented. And you know, I can't smell them at all. Roger, my husband, he could smell them and he used to say, we had one in our garden in Wigan and he used to say, oh, isn't that smelling lovely? And I'd be going, well, no, actually. But the bees can smell it. And so, obviously not on a day like today, when everything is just horribly drippy and wet. But if we get a nice sort of mild, sunny winter day, I can sometimes find queen bees on here. There's a little bit of colour in the rose hips. And there are buds on the willow. And hazel catkins on the contorted hazel. And more crocuses on the owl. And we'll just say hello to Peter and Paul, the gnomes. Tend not to take much notice of them during the summer because they're sort of hiding away in the foliage. It's in the winter that I get to see them more. More rose hips on the rose arch, but no lovely blue sky to show them off today. Just grey, grey, grey. And here's my teeny tiny forest. This is a bit of an experiment. I have heard that you can make teeny tiny forests of 5 square metres. This is 6 square metres, but I wasn't actually able to find any pictures of one. They're normally bigger than this. They're normally about the size of a tennis court, and they're normally in sort of parks and public spaces. So they're sort of an educational thing and a place for people to go and relax and get away from the sort of the bareness of the city to somewhere really, really green. So this is slightly different to how they were conceived, really. And I just hope it works. And then, you know, maybe more people can grow tiny forests in their gardens. I've been creating the tiny forest over the last couple of weeks, really, and I've recorded what I did and explained more about what a tiny forest is and how I've made it in 2 previous videos. And if you haven't seen them and you'd like to catch up, I'll put links in the description. And here's the secret garden looking a bit grim. Yeah, not much to come and sit out here for today. I've been fishing the leaves out of the pond, so hopefully the water will stay fresh. Ready for the frogs in the spring, although I think I have too many newts to have frogs in my pond. I'm just sheltering in the greenhouse for a minute. And there's the tiny forest. A nice standing deadwood. We've had some quite high winds actually since I put it in, and it doesn't seem to have shifted at all. So I'm pleased about that. And ivy watching over my tiny trees. I've made another standing deadwood structure. Yes, I had some branches left over and I've put them on the side of the shed where they won't blow down. I've actually tied them on and I've put my plates back on that came down in the storm. And I did stand up the dragons, but they've blown over a bit more again in the winds that we had the other day. And this is where there was a plum tree, but it was hit by a flying roof in the last storm and very severely damaged. And I decided it was too damaged, so I've cut it right down. And I'm just hoping it will grow up again from the base. There's a lovely blackbird on the hawthorn arch there. Hello. Oh, gone. And the sparrows in the tree. Not sure if you can hear them making the noise. And just a little bit of seasonal evergreen holly for you. But not many berries this year. There's one. I think the lack of berries is across lots of trees really. I don't think there's many hawthorn berries at the moment and very few sloes. And I think it was probably because of the rubbish spring that we had. I think the cold and the rain damaged the flowers, and you know, there weren't enough insects around to pollinate the flowers that there were. So yes, I think perhaps the birds are going to suffer this winter without the berries to eat. A little bit more colour here from the cornices. And there's a blackbird down there sorting through the leaves. Just showing really why you should leave leaves, not sweep them up, because it's home to all sorts of little creatures that the birds can find to eat. And this Magnolia stellata is getting ready for spring as well. Lots of buds. All looking, I do have to say, very wet and very soggy. And this is the new pond, and I've been fishing leaves out of here as well. And I was kind of thinking that if I got frog spawn in the old pond, I could transfer it into here, and it would stand more of a chance of surviving really. But when I was fishing the leaves out, I did find some newt larvae, and it's the newts that eat the tadpoles. And there's other carnivorous insects in there as well, damselfly, dragonfly larvae, pond skaters. So yeah, I think perhaps I've got too many things that eat tadpoles to have frogs really in this garden. I have swept the leaves off this path down here, this slope, because it gets quite slippy and quite treacherous really. And the pierisses are getting ready for the spring as well. Last year the frost killed a lot of the flowers. It was so sad, so maybe this year I'll have more flowers. And as you can see, I've been picking up more twigs and branches covered in lichen. Yes, I'm a compulsive picker-upper of licheny branches and licheny twigs. I just love them. So now it's raining even more, so I've retreated into the summer house. So yes, I've retreated into my summer house yet again out of the rain. And just to say goodbye, really, to say what I said at the beginning, and I didn't really elaborate on, really, which is to thank you for all your views and support and all your comments. I do love hearing from you, and I particularly love it if watching my videos has maybe encouraged you to do something a bit wilder and a bit different. So, you know, I love it when people say, well, I've made a pond, or I've planted a native tree, or I've not cleared my beds this autumn, or I've left the dandelions to flower for the bees in the early spring. And, you know, that makes it all worthwhile to hear that sort of thing. So, yeah, so next year, please keep watching, keep commenting, and we'll see how my garden develops. And the way I kind of get through this sort of dark, you know, gloomy time is thinking ahead and planning ahead. So I do have plans for 2025. I've already made the tiny forest, as you know, but I have plans for more native plants, and really just finding out which ones like it in my garden, but don't like it too much so that they're going to take over, like the wild strawberries and the little willow herb. But I have plans for the front garden, which is really a bit of land that I only sort of go on maybe once or twice a year because I have to climb a step ladder to get onto it. But I'm going to try and make a wildflower meadow. But I will need some help because there's a very large cotoneaster there, which I've kept in check, but it really needs digging out. So I'm going to need some help with that. And the other thing that I'll be doing in January or February is to do my yearly sort of maintenance of my over the road. So I'll be doing that, and I have been thinking that I might have a go at laying the hedge. This won't be a how-to video, it'll probably be a how not to video because you know, I've never done anything like it before. So that's another plan for next year. So all being well, I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you in the next year. So wela I chi I gyd yn y flwyddyn nesaf. Bye! Hwyl fawr!